There are places where people arrive intending to stay only a little while, only to discover that life has quietly unpacked their bags for them. In the bustling port of Yokohama, beneath rows of scarlet lanterns and the scent of simmering broth, generations of Chinese families built new lives between two worlds. Some arrived seeking fortune. Many found only hardship. Yet among the crowded lanes of old Chinatown, love sometimes appeared where it was least expected. Tonight, we journey to Yokohama in the spring of 1927. This is the Wonton shop beneath the lanterns. Morning mist drifted in from Yokohama harbor, softening the masts of steamships waiting beside the wharves. Long before the foreign banks and hotels stirred awake, Chinatown was already alive. Coal fires crackled beneath great iron cauldrons. Bundles of spring onions arrived tied with rice straw. Tea merchants swept yesterday's dust from their shop fronts. Porters carried baskets of dried mushrooms, preserved plums, star anise and cassia bark from steamers arriving from Hong Kong and Canton. The narrow streets filled with Japanese, English, Cantonese, and the occasional burst of Shanghainese. It was a neighborhood that belonged entirely to itself, yet not entirely to Japan, nor entirely to China. Near Kantabio Temple stood a tiny restaurant called House of Autumn Broth. It seated barely a dozen customers, and its windows were always clouded with steam. Each morning, old Chen Shou-yi lit the stove, while his wife prepared wonton wrappers, and their daughter, Chen Li-fen, sliced ginger, paper-thin. The broth simmered all day from pork bones, dried sole fish, garlic, white pepper, dried shrimp, and one family secret. Whenever customers asked, old Chen merely smiled. A cook never tells all his stories. Li Fen was 25, with gentle eyes and remarkably quick hands. She once dreamed of becoming a teacher and loved the poetry of Li Po and Tu Fu. But after her elder brother died of consumption, every bowl of noodles helped keep the family alive. Some evenings she watched the ships beyond the rooftops and wondered where they were going. She never imagined one would bring her future to the restaurant door. One rainy evening, just as the family prepared to close, a gentleman entered, carrying a worn leather satchel. His coat was soaked through. "I fear I am terribly late," he said. Though the kitchen had nearly closed, Li Fen welcomed him. When he tasted the steaming broth, he closed his eyes and quietly whispered, "This tastes like home." The stranger introduced himself as Xu Wen Hao, a translator of shipping documents at Yokohama harbor. When Li Fen asked whether he knew Canton, he replied that his father had traded there before he was born. Asked about his family, he simply answered, "My parents are gone." Some griefs required no explanation. Xu Wen Hao soon became a regular customer. He always ordered wonton noodles with extra broth and no chili. Conversation gradually replaced silence as he and Li Fen spoke of books, steamships, Chinese opera, and the new jazz drifting across the harbor. Sometimes they simply watched the rain together. For two people living far from the land their parents still called home, silence itself had become another language. As winter approached, the sea winds grew colder. Steamers continued arriving from Shanghai, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Canton. But within Chinatown, life changed very little. Children attended Japanese schools by day and spoke Cantonese at home. Shopkeepers paid Japanese taxes but celebrated the Lunar New Year beneath red lanterns. Letters arrived from Canton describing cousins many had never met. One evening, Wen Hao said quietly, "My father used to tell me we were only staying in Japan for a few years." Li Fen smiled. "My father still says the same." They laughed, though neither truly believed it. At the Lunar New Year, Chinatown transformed itself. Red paper couplets adorned every doorway. Firecrackers echoed through the streets, and children chased paper dragons beneath swaying lanterns. The air was filled with roast duck, long noodles, steamed fish, sesame balls, almond jelly, and jasmine tea. Just before closing, Wen Hao presented Li Fen's parents with 2 fine bricks of jasmine tea. From that evening onward, old Chen no longer called him Sir. He simply called him Wen Hao. One morning, Wen Hao arrived exhausted. Over tea, he confessed that cargo manifests at the docks had been altered and that he feared opium was being smuggled through the harbor. He had refused to sign false documents. Li Fen asked quietly, "Will they leave you alone?" "I hope so," he replied, though he did not sound convinced. Days became weeks. Each evening, Li Fen glanced toward the familiar table beside the window, but it remained empty. Her mother noticed. "You are watching the door." "I am watching for customers," Li Fen replied, though neither woman believed it. Even old Chen admitted, "I hope the young man is well." Nearly 3 weeks later, Wen Hao returned with a bruised face and one arm in a sling. After the last customer left, he admitted that men involved in the forged shipping documents had assaulted him for refusing to cooperate. Fortunately, they had later been arrested after a British shipping agent exposed the smuggling operation. Old Chen slowly exhaled. "Then heaven has been kinder than I expected." That snowy evening, after the restaurant had closed, Wen Hao revealed something he had hidden. "I was married," he said quietly. "My wife died in the Great Kanto earthquake. We had a daughter. She lives with her aunt in Kobe." Li Fen was stunned. "I wished to tell you long ago," he confessed. "I feared you would only see the burdens I carried." For the first time since they had met, the silence between them was no longer comfortable. It was filled with questions. For several days, Li Fen avoided the harbor road, burying herself in folding wontons. Her mother quietly observed her before saying, "When I married your father, he owned 1 jacket, 2 cooking pots, and debts he was too proud to speak of. I did not marry his possessions. I married the man." That evening, snow drifted gently across Chinatown. Beneath the red lanterns outside Kanteibyo Temple, Su Wen Hao waited patiently. Li Fen finally joined him. "You should not carry your grief alone," she said. "I no longer wish to," he replied. She reached for his hand, and beneath the softly falling snow, they found the courage to begin again. The following spring, they married quietly. Weeks later, Wen Hao's 7-year-old daughter, Ai arrived from Kobe, carrying a small cloth satchel. Li Fen taught her how to fold her first wonton. It was delightfully crooked, and everyone admired it anyway. Later, Ai opened her satchel and produced an old blue and white porcelain soup spoon. Old Chen recognized the faded mark beneath its handle immediately. It was one of a dozen spoons he and his wife had commissioned decades earlier in Canton before emigrating. The set had been lost at the docks during their journey south. Wen Hao explained that his late wife's father had purchased the spoon years before from an elderly merchant. After traveling across the sea through another family, the little spoon had somehow found its way home. Years passed. steamships continued arriving at Yokohama harbor, while the house of autumn broth remained filled with warmth and laughter. Old Chen tended the stockpot. Li Fen folded wontons. Wen Hao greeted customers, and little Ai Yu proudly carried bowls that were almost too large for her small hands. People believed they returned for the broth. Those who knew the family understood otherwise. They returned because kindness has a flavor of its own. Perhaps that is the truest meaning of home. Not merely the place where we are born, but the table where our grief is welcomed and someone remembers exactly how we like our soup. The little spoon from Canton reminded the Chen family that although lives may wander across oceans, love has a remarkable way of finding its way back.
Thank you for joining me for another journey into the forgotten worlds of old Asia. If this story brought a little warmth to your evening, I'd be delighted if you left a like, subscribed to the Oriental Story Hour, and shared your thoughts in the comments below. Until our next journey beneath the lantern light, good night.